Welcome to part 3 of the monthly Fryerning XL Carp blog. What a month it's been, not just in terms of fishing, which has been absolutely mind-boggling, but the weather, which has broken all records. Yes, it is the last day of February. I'm sat down here at the Majestic Valley Lake, surrounded by daffodils, snowdrops, and a real sense of spring. We've also got the first bit of rain that we've had in months, which is just typical when you want to do some filming. There's no doubt we've got a bit of a drought going on. The rain's very welcome, the smell in the air is beautiful, and what a great time to be out fishing. We've got a hell of a lot of fish to show you, some exclusive footage, so let's crack on with that next. Will you join me down at one of my favourite bolt holes on the Majestic Valley Lake? It's a place that I've come to on and off over the years, and it really gives me so many things that I want from my carp fishing. The ability to watch carp up close, some incredible floater fishing action, and as you'd expect at Fryerning, some of the most incredible, majestic looking carp that you could find anywhere in the country. The lake itself is a myriad of undercuts, bars, lily pads, reed beds, everything going on that you could want from a carp lake. The biggest fish in the lake is a common of no less than 42 pounds at his last capture. It could be bigger than that now. And last year, believe it or not, the Valley Lake produced no fewer than 42 captures of fish, ranging between 30 pounds and the lake record of 42 pounds. So that's staggering. There were also a phenomenal number of fish that were of the upper 20 size, so 28s and 29s all over the catch reports. So it really does represent some amazing big carp fishing, and with a lot of the focus on the main lake, you know, this is almost a little quiet bolt hole for you guys to come down and sample, as I said, fish up to 42 pounds, and that common carp is a majestic creature indeed. Now, I've been coming down here, as I said, for quite a few years. I did a trip here last spring, which was very memorable. Caught fish up to 32 pounds, had a couple of 29s and quite a few 20s as well. Some of those were off the surface, a 32 common off the bottom. And it's just an example, you know, that was I think it was a 36-hour trip of what can be achieved at the right time when the fish are on it. Don't get me wrong, like any lake in the country, the fish can be testing when they're in a mood. But with several, well, I think there's probably several hundred fish in here with a very high average size, the Valley Lake is the place where you could secure the capture of your dreams. The valley has been a little bit quieter since Christmas, which explains the lower catch returns, but one guy who did really well was Gary Moffat, who slipped back an incredible looking 27.5 pound common carp. Well done to you, sir. On the car park lake, various anglers have come and go. It's one of those lakes that has got incredible winter form, as we've mentioned before. Even when it's partly iced over, you can catch fish from the car park. So one angler, amongst others, who's done really well was Dan Hazelton, who had something like 6 carp up to 15 pound in one session, and they were absolutely stunning creatures, so well done to you. Only last week I was down here myself, not for my own fishing unfortunately, but for a work session with one Laura Monnier. Laura booked with me some time ago, and we've been waiting to get out, and she wanted to cover everything from watercraft, casting, rigs, and all of the menagerie of technical things that go with it. Laura's a very accomplished angler already, but straight away I thought what better place could it be to do a tuition than to come down to Fryerning. So Laura and I spent the day walking around and looking at the main lake, the valley and the car park, looking at all the different elements of watercraft, and then later on in the afternoon we put all of that information to good use, where she caught, I would say, one of the best looking fish in Essex. This most incredible double figure fully scaled carp with a big massive floppy tail, lovely little head, amazing colours. So it made Laura's day, certainly made mine, and that was a day when really just this heat wave started to come, and heat wave is not something you normally mention in February, but on that day I saw the first bumblebee of the year. This was the 20th of February, I think. We even had a red admiral fly past us. Crazy times. We'll talk more about the weather in a bit when we look at the main lake. Now, would you believe that that incredible fishing that we've just shown you, available on the car park and the valley lakes, can be secured with a ticket for less than £400. And that gets you fishing for not only some of the most amazing looking carp around, but fish up to over 40 pounds as well, with one of those being a common carp. Amazing value. You get access to all of the incredible Fryerning facilities and security as well. If you're interested, get in touch with the guys. So it's the last day of February, as I said earlier, and would you believe that the same month, a few weeks ago, we had snow and we had a bit of ice, probably well, the only hit of winter we've had this winter, and that might even be the last of it. The long-term forecast is looking amazing. We've had the warmest temperatures ever recorded in the UK at 21 degrees a few days ago. So some quite meteorologically incredible weather has befallen the UK, and the fish have responded with absolute gusto. The first man to get his name written into the catch reports in fine style was no less than Keith Mann, a name that you'll know from watching these blogs. And Keith recorded a hit of 3 fish, including a 27-pound common and a 35-pound mirror. That man is on fire. The next angler to capitalise as the main lake switched on was the jovial Chris Moore. Chris is always on hand to make you a cup of tea, so pop round and see him if you see him set up on the lake. He's a top chap. Chris caught no less than 3 carp, including the very sought after, I should say, Dalmatian at 36 pounds 12 ounces, the incredible looking Starburst at 32 pounds, and back those up with a 27-pound common. Good work, fella. There is a fish that lives in the main lake, which many would say is the finest mirror carp in the country. You have to tick a few boxes to get an accolade like that. You have to look just right, and you can't get caught loads and loads mugging yourself off left, right, and Chelsea. The wood carving is just such a fish, ticks both of those vital boxes. It's certainly a fish that I would love to be acquainted with, and one I hope to catch in the future. Thomas Moore was the guy who managed to catch it in February at an amazing weight of 43 pounds. The fish looked breathtaking on the mat, and as Thomas slipped that away, we thought maybe in the future that's going to be another 50-pound carp for the main lake, but certainly I'm sure you'll all agree there's few better carp in the country than the wood carving. Now, although big carp form a huge part of the experience down at Fryerning, it's not all about massive carp, it's about the experience. And I have to say my favourite picture of the month came from Zach Cullerton, who fished a half-term holiday trip, school holiday trip with his son Freddie, and together they experienced the joy of catching a 40-pound carp. Full scale was a personal best, first 40-pound carp for Zach, and as you can see by the joy on their faces, that's what it's really all about. Fantastic. Of course, the amazing record-breaking weather brought the anglers out in force, but it brought the carp out in force as well. And fish continued to get caught, setting unparalleled catch reports for the main lake in the month of February. Jim Buffoni was one of the next guys to capitalise on the success, and he had no less than 2 40-pound carp in one session. He caught the amazing Bertie's Linear at over 40 pounds and braced that with the Emperor at no less than 44 pounds. Jim didn't leave it there either. He had an 18-pound fish as backup. Well done, Squire. A couple of other anglers who've got in on the act have been Kevin Deemin, who accounted for a 29-pound mirror, and also Roy Prodger, who caught an unnamed mid-20 mirror. Very good captures, guys, and nice to see you back in the catch reports. We've got a lot of heavy duty machinery down here at Fryerning, but there aren't too many carp catching machines, but there is Scott Clark. Scott's been in all 3 of these blogs, and his catch rate is actually astounding. This time he's caught the pretty one at over 39 pounds. A magnificent fish, I'm sure you'll all agree. I certainly wouldn't bet against Scott cropping up in next month's blog as well. Carp catching ability at Fryerning that is second to none. Good effort, mate. To have 3 lakes full of the most incredible carp in the country is certainly no fluke, and it's testament to the work and dedication that the team put in on site here on a daily basis. And I mean that on a 7 daily basis. I've never come down here ever since 2012 and found nothing going on. It's quite remarkable. Amazing work rate, and these guys are always finding something to do to improve the fishery, the habitat and the overall experience for you member guys. And girls, of course. The last thing that the guys have been doing, I watched them doing last week, was adding the tubes of barley straw to all the lakes. That's a hard bit of graft in the middle of February, because even though the air was warm or getting warmer, the water is still icy cold. But they were in their waders and water suits in the lake, putting these barley straw tubes in. Why? Well, they're fitted all around the lakes to prevent the growth of algae later on in the year. So looking ahead, fantastic fishery management, and it shows that even with amazing water quality due to the spring feed system and fantastic pH and various other attributes, you still need day-to-day hands-on monitoring and work to keep these lakes at the top of their game. Another part of the ongoing fishery management is, of course, the management of the stocks within the lakes, and that process of removing silverfish. I mean, we had the crayfish, it seems like years ago now, which were dealt with, and the removal of silverfish is an ongoing process so that more food gets through to the carp. The guys have been building a custom-made silverfish net, which is one of the most incredible bits of workmanship I've ever seen, with lead lining, fine mesh and so on. They built that themselves and are putting it to very good use, removing silverfish from the lakes. Any ornithologists out there will appreciate how rare egrets and bitterns are, and on the lakes this year we've had no fewer than 17 egrets and a bittern, so testament to the amazing habitat that is Fryerning. Well, that rounds things up very nicely to end our February XL Carp blog. Now the sun's come out. I'm soaking wet, freezing cold, and we've just finished and now the sun's come out, so cheers for that. But I'm sure as the sun comes out, more carp will be out. It feels like the season's already well underway, and yet it's only the end of February. So what I can assure you is there's going to be some incredible stories to tell from all of these lakes over the coming blogs. Don't forget, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and a new account on Instagram. Be sure to check that out. And you can find us on our website. Please visit and download your pictures and your stories, www.xlcarp.com. So look forward to seeing you next month. Thanks for joining us.